What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are in a very unique Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spyder, thanks to my friends over at Monza Exotics. If you're in Southern California looking to rent any luxury or exotic car, go hit them up and they'll take care of you. They have a beautiful fleet that they are always adding to, and you can rent this exact car from them today. Now hopping right into the video, this Evo Spyder is powered by a naturally aspirated 5.2 liter V10, the same engine in the Huracan Performante, which is port and direct fuel injected, fully renovated and re-engineered with optimized fluid dynamics both in the aspiration and exhaust. That beast is married to a 7-speed Lamborghini Doppia Frizione or LDF dual clutch transmission, allowing the clutch to work as instantaneously and seamlessly as possible to cut the engagement and disengagement time, with characteristics according to the drive mode selected, and an electronically controlled all-wheel drive system with a rear mechanical self-locking differential. With the 4-wheel drive being electronically controlled, it guarantees higher speed and precision in distributing torque between the axles. With that said, it produces 631 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque, and pushing that power to all 4 wheels has a top speed of 202 miles an hour and will get you from 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds with an 8,500 RPM Redline. The Evo Spyder has a curb weight of 3,750 pounds and is constructed of a hybrid aluminum and carbon fiber chassis, with the body's outer skin being made from aluminum and composite materials. As for suspension on the Evo, you're looking at front and rear aluminum double wishbone suspension electronically controlled by the Lamborghini Magneto Rheological System, forming overlapping quadrilaterals which guarantee a perfect balance and ride. Your steering system relies on electromechanical power steering and Lamborghini Dynamic Steering, LDS, with a variable steering ratio, as well as rear wheel steering, which is very unique on this car, with the combination of the active steering system and the rear wheel steering system ensuring best-in-class dynamic performance. In addition, the LDVI body control system, being the technological brain of the Evo Spyder, is capable of coordinating a complex and sophisticated system for the management of driving dynamics, which integrates the car's all-wheel steering, torque vectoring, traction control, and all-wheel drive, which can all be monitored in real time on the car's infotainment, which we'll see in a bit. Your electronic stability control also integrates anti-lock braking and traction control with different characteristics according to the drive mode selected, with more intervention in Strada, which is street, and less in Sport or Corsa, which is race mode. For brakes, you're looking at carbon ceramics with fixed monoblock calipers, with 6 pistons in the front and 4 pistons in the rear, in aluminum with CCB discs. Another cool thing to note is that when the Evo debuted, it was the only production car with rear brake venting to help hot air dissipate due to torque vectoring. And as for what makes this a Spyder opposed to the coupe, and also an incredible open air experience to drive, we've got the soft top, which can be retracted in 17 seconds while stationary or moving up to 31 miles an hour. Now, being the replacement for the standard Huracan model, which debuted in 2015, the Evo generation saw many advancements and updates, most notably the more aggressive front fascia and aero, producing 5 times more downforce than the previous Huracan, thanks to the front splitter with integrated wing, underbody with aerodynamic deflectors, rear diffuser, and back end with integrated slotted spoiler. Another thing to note on the back of the car here, your engine compartment compared to the coupe, not nearly as big, and we'll go ahead and pop the back right here. Reason being, got to have somewhere to keep that roof when it's down, so not too much of the engine you get to see compared to the coupe, but there's still something there. One of my personal favorite design elements on this mid-engine missile is that dual exhaust centered high on the tail for efficient flow, which is very reminiscent of an F-18. I mean, just look at that, it looks like a fighter jet. A few other visual elements that you guys probably already noticed is that this is clearly not stock. We got the carbon hood from 1016 Industries, as well as this Performante styled rear wing. And this car was also originally in white, which Monza had wrapped in this beautiful gray, along with reupholstering the interior to this orange. Now going ahead and popping that front trunk, something that you could either do inside the car here with that button or with the key, reveals not too much cargo space in this thing. You know, compared to the RS, which I did another video on, I'll link in here. Not too much cargo space, but also if you're buying a Lamborghini, that's probably not one of your biggest concerns. And on top of that, we also have a little toolkit here and a tire change and flat patch kit. So 2 other things to note on the inside there in your front trunk. And one last thing to note before we go ahead, hop in, check out the inside of the car, is that this originally had an MSRP from Lamborghini of $293,000 for the Evo Spyder. However, it could be optioned well into the high 300s. All right, now that we've gone over the exterior of the car, let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. Getting in that crazy orange reupholstered interior. shutting the door. First thing to note, that Alcantara wheel. As you can probably tell, everything is very driver oriented in this car. You've got your turn signals on the steering wheel, which is one of my favorite things here. Very reminiscent of a motorcycle where you got click it left for left signal, right for right signal, and press it in to cancel, or it will auto cancel around a corner too. As for the rest of the wheel, you'll see your downshift paddle here, your upshift paddle on the right, Strada, which is street, sport, and Corsa, which is race mode, to select the drive mode of the car. This is to toggle through the dash's menu, and then this is to set your cruise control speed there, and then you've got your wipers on the right side of the wheel. And one more thing I forgot to mention on the wheel here, these are also for your brights. If you want to flash them, you just click that down and that will activate your brights. And to the left of the steering wheel here, pretty standard, we've got our door locks, our side mirror controls, and then our light buttons underneath. Now we'll go ahead and start her up. First things first, you're going to want to flip up that starter cover, which you don't have to, but always more fun to do so. Kind of feels like a fighter jet. Here it come to life. And then we'll show you the different modes here. We have it starts up in Strada, which is street. You can toggle that down to sport mode there. You'll see the cluster changes just a little bit more aggressive in orange. And then my favorite, once you drop the car into Corsa or race mode, you can really tell the revs kick up, and it's a completely different gauge cluster, which is much more focused on RPM and less on speed. Another thing to note as well about the different drive modes, a lot more lenient when it is in street and sport. A lot less assists when you have the car in Corsa, which is cool. Gives you a lot more freedom to mess around with it and really feel the car out. But you have to know too, you know, traction control is not going to be as aggressive as it would be in street, so there's more freedom to play with the car, but also you got to be on your toes. However, it is an all-wheel drive, so a lot less likely to get yourself into a situation than it would be in, say, the Performante, where you're working with just rear wheel, but still pretty cool. Definitely gives a lot more leniency to play with the car. And to let you guys hear the idle on these modes here, we'll start with Strada, which it's currently in. Then we'll go ahead and drop her into Sport. And last, the best of all, Corsa mode. You can really hear those RPMs kick up and those valves open. Taking a look at these beautiful forged carbon AC vents throughout before we look down here at our buttons above the infotainment. You got simple here on both ends, your windows to roll up and down both the driver and passenger side window, the lift to raise the nose of the car, make it a little easier coming out of steeper driveways and whatnot. Your stability control, your hazards, parking sensors, auto start stop, and that is it for your buttons there on the console. Now towards the bottom of the console, obviously you have your start stop there, and then you have your gear selectors for reverse. You're gonna pull it, put the car in reverse, and then to put it in drive, you're gonna actually upshift. That's how you engage a gear in this car. It'll still have the rear view camera up, but as you can see, we're in first gear there. So there is no drive gear down here to shift into gear from either park or reverse. You're going to just upshift on the paddle, and that will put you into first. And then if you hold both paddles down at the same time, that'll put the car in neutral, or you have your park button there, and then that M is for putting the car into manual. Once you're moving, instead of having it shift automatically, it'll allow you to use the paddle shifters. Now right below your gear selector and start stop button here, you have the convertible controls, parking brake, and then the rear window, which is right here. So up and down. Whether you have the roof open or closed, I usually keep it down because it just lets more sound and air in, hard to beat. And to demonstrate the retractable roof, we'll go ahead and put it up here. Now both opening and closing is done in 17 seconds and can be done up to 31 miles an hour, or of course stationary like this. Pretty quick, and also neat that you're able to do it in motion, because that helps a ton if you're trying to open or close it at a light or something and you have to get rolling on a green. Now as we can see here, this is about eye level for me. My head's actually touching the roof. Not the most space in this car when it comes to headroom or legroom. Visibility is actually not the worst. It's not as bad as the Aventador, but you do have that very narrow windscreen, and then here we've got our sun visors, pretty small too, but given how narrow the windscreen is, you still have decent visibility out of this car compared to, you know, the Aventador or some other vehicles. Now in the middle here, we've got our 8.4-inch infotainment system. Controls just about everything in the car, from your telephone, vehicle controls, climate, which is the one thing I don't like. I don't like when there's climate controls within the interface, because it's always a little bit of a pain having to use a touchscreen when you want to adjust your AC or something like that. Always nicer having a physical button. Although this is a big upgrade from the previous generation Huracans, even the Aventadors, not very tech friendly. This is much better. Still a little bit laggy, but that's never the strong suit for many supercar companies, like it is for, say, Mercedes, BMW when it comes to infotainment. But they did a good job on these updates. And then if we go here to vehicle, you'll see the LDVI that we were talking about. Now that LDVI will show you in real time everything that's going on with the car and the driving dynamics, which is your all-wheel steering, torque vectoring, traction control, all-wheel drive. It's pretty cool if that can be monitored in real time. If you can see here, turning the steering wheel, we'll show you on there. And then as well as the distribution of the torque between your front and rear wheels. And moving over to the right of your console, you've got that one beautiful cup holder that I've never found to be too efficient. Coffee, anything really will spill out of there super easy. It's not like the cup holders in the RSs, which will withstand pretty much any kind of terrain or driving you throw out of these. You want to be careful with, as you'll probably see in a little bit here. It is not the friendliest for having a drink in it, but still better than nothing. Pop in that glove box, you'll see there's not too much room. There is the valet key right here, got a little ashtray, and then shove my portable charger there, but not the biggest glove box. You actually can't even fit the manual in here, so that goes up in the front trunk. But I mean, there's enough room to toss a phone, some items in there. Just not the most spacious glove box I've seen. Another pretty neat design element that you might have picked up on is the theme of hexagons throughout this car. As you can see, stitched into the seats, which these are reupholstered, but this is still the same design that you would have found from the factory with the hexagons. Down to this inlay here, AC vents, even the mirrors you can see. Big theme in this car, hexagons. It always has been in the Huracan. Not sure why, but it's pretty cool. All right, now that we've checked out the car a little bit, both inside and out, let's do the fun part. Let's go for a drive. As you probably already saw, I'd already put the car into manual to use the shifters. We're gonna go ahead, drop it from Strada to Sport, and to the best of all, Corsa. I just listen to this thing. Incredible. I'm hoping the wind noise isn't too crazy with the top down on camera. I also got to be sure, because my head's above the windscreen here. If I pop my head up too much, it's gonna suck the camera and hat right off my head, so I kind of gotta slouch down in the seat while driving. Probably put the top up in a bit for better audio, but for now, just listen to this thing. All right, for the sake of making the audio a little bit better and most of all not losing my camera, we're gonna put the top up for now. We'll drop it in a little bit when it's a little more scenic. And that 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10 is just something else. Really hard to beat that sound. Also try to not get a ticket for how loud this car is, because I've been cracking down on that lately. Although that's the cool thing too. I mean, there's no modifications done to the engine or exhaust on this thing. This is all from the factory, from Lamborghini. I will say though, this can go from being one of the loudest to one of the quietest supercars. Drop it back down from sport into strata, and you can really sneak around in this thing. Hardly makes noise. But when you pop that back up into Corsa, quite the opposite. Let's get the AC going a little bit. Yeah, not the biggest fan of having to use a touchscreen to access climate control, but it is what it is. Got that 8,500 RPM Redline. However, I find myself short shifting most of the time, especially in Corsa, just because how loud this car is. Sitting at about 4,000 RPMs right now and still making quite a bit of noise. And the power delivery in this car is just so incredibly linear. It's so predictable. We'll go ahead and drop that rear window here. Just got a little more engine noise in the cabin. Sounds incredible too. Cop. Nope. I will say there's been a ton of cops out on PCH lately, so probably gonna go a little easy on it. Closer look at the LDVI there, showing you the management in real time, which is pretty cool, pretty sweet. Hear those squeaky carbon ceramics. I love it. Given that this is the same power plant as the Performante, it's very similar to drive, just a little more comfortable because it's not as track oriented, but you still have the same amount of fun behind the wheel. And comparing driving the Evo Coupe to the Evo Spyder, you're not going to notice too much of a difference unless you're really pushing every ounce out of this car on a track. Nothing you notice on the road in terms of the handling and performance. I mean, this thing is just so planted. Plus you've got that rear wheel steering now too, which makes a huge difference. So light on its toes. Pretty sad to see Lamborghini moving away from the naturally aspirated V10s and 12s. Probably butchering the name, but the new replacement for the Huracan is the Teminario, I believe. It's going to be a hybrid turbo V8, which is so weird for Lamborghini. Although it's going to be, I want to say, 900 something horsepower, so I'm sure it's going to be a blast to drive and a great replacement. But there's just, I don't know, there's something about the soul of these naturally aspirated V10s and 12s that I don't care how much more horsepower it has, it's not going to be as nearly visceral of an experience to drive. For a little quick coffee run. All right, get back on the road here. And now for that cup holder. You know, it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. It'll do its job for now. Starting it back up. We'll be courteous and leave it in Strata for now. Let's get going here. As soon as you change those drive modes, you can really hear those valves open. I'm gonna go ahead and put her back in Corsa. That steering tightens up so much. The suspension is phenomenal. The steering on this car too is just so precise. 9-day difference from the initial Huracan. Something else I absolutely love is that dual clutch, so much smoother than the Aventador's. Seamless gear change. If any of you have been in an Aventador, you know every time you upshift or downshift, it's just every single time jerks you back and forth, which I will say is kind of part of the fun of driving one of those cars, is just how visceral and ridiculous it is. But this is so much faster, so much more comfortable than that. And it is cool to see that the new Revuelto is a dual clutch on the V12 platform, so I'm sure that's a blast. Haven't driven one of those yet, but hopefully we'll be here soon. cup holder's not doing the worst for the big cup that's in it. I'm just spoiled from the RS cup holders, or I guess in any 911. The cup holders are just so perfect. They're so over-engineered. Rip through the canyons and not have a problem. I've spilled my drink before in a different Huracan from these. See, not the sturdiest. You don't want to be ripping canyons with a drink in your cup holder in one of these. And I love that these really do feel like a much more approachable Performante. I believe you're getting a combined gas mileage of 15 mpg, which I don't know how true that is, to be honest with you. That's what they're telling you, but I have a feeling it's probably more like 9 if you're lucky. See, that's one of the things with these cup holders. They like collapse. Go ahead and put that top back down now. Remember, you got an ability to do so up to 31 miles an hour, which is pretty neat. Got your windows and that rear window too. Sounds so good. And like I was saying, although this is a convertible with a little bit less structural integrity, it's pretty indistinguishable from the coupe version on the road. You'd really have to be pushing this thing to its limit on a track to get that extra mile out of the coupe. Now get a load of these two beautiful machines, the GLS Maybach from a few videos ago. I'll link that right here for you to check out if you haven't already. And then the beautiful Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spyder that we're in today. Remember that both of these cars are available at Monza Exotics, so go hit them up if you're in SoCal looking to rent something incredible. They will take care of you and make sure your time down here is wonderful. Again, absolutely love these motorcycle style turn signals. Really keep your focus on the road. Super nice not having to take your hands off the wheel. There's one in motion, putting that top back up. Don't want to do it, but for the sake of the video and not losing my camera, to some of the other Lamborghini models too. I've been lucky enough to drive literally every single modern Lamborghini apart from the new Revuelto. I haven't gotten to drive one of those yet, but out of the Huracans, this is one of the best picks. I would honestly take the Evo Spyder over the coupe, just because if you're going for the coupe, you might as well go for the STO or the Performante. Pick something more track oriented. That's just my personal opinion, but this still so comfortable in a car like this. To put the top down, hear that engine, especially when you got weather like this all the time, it's perfect. I will will say though, for me personally, there's no topping the Performante and the STO from the Huracan lineup. They're just an absolute blast to drive, and I'm always going for more track-oriented cars. Now, it's hard to compare any of the Huracans with the Aventadors. Having gone from everything from the original Aventador to the S to the SV to the SVJ and the Ultimate. Love them all, but you can't really compare the two. Just two very, very different platforms. I will say that the Huracan is much, much, much more comfortable, just not as iconic. The V10 is amazing too, but that V12, I don't know, in terms of how wild it is, it's hard to beat that. I'm gonna try to not lose my hat here because it's wanting to fly off. Hold on to it. Always making a racket. Beautiful. Up there, it looks like. Awesome car. I was in one of those a few weeks ago. Didn't record it. Be cool to make a video soon though. keep that yapping at a minimum just so you guys can hear that beautiful V10. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our video in the Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spyder. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to Monza Exotics for making this video possible. Go hit them up if you're in Southern California looking to rent any luxury or exotic car. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.